Alex Antic is with us, the Liberal Senator, also his colleague from the Senate in Tasmania is none other than Eric Abetz. Lads, hello, lovely to see you both. So, I don't want to dignify too much detail about all of this, but we learned that Four Corners was getting ready to do another hit job, a particularly personal hit job, it would have seemed, about a supposed somebody who works in and around Kirribilli House, and that this is a person who's a friend of the Morrison family. But here's the hook. Her husband apparently is somebody who has had his Twitter profile suspended because of QAnon.
Let's hope it doesn't go to air, Paul. These matters are highly personal, and one wonders why a Four Corners program being funded by the taxpayer would seek to involve itself in these matters, other than if there is a political agenda that they are seeking to pursue.
Yeah, look, it's sort of almost, what are we taking from all of this? I mean, who cares? That's the bottom line here. I think Eric's quite right. It's really, it's hard to sort of draw anything else out of this other than, what's the real agenda here? I mean, if it's simply, and I must say I don't know anything about the detail about what's the reality of this. But I mean, if the fact is we're just looking at somebody's friend who's got a kooky idea, well, so what? I mean, I've got friends that have got kooky ideas. I've got friends that read The Guardian and watch the ABC. It doesn't make me a radical leftist. Look, I think, frankly, this is it's a non-event. It'd be nice to see the ABC use their frank and fearless approach to journalism, though occasionally on someone from the left, or even occasionally on a conspiracy theory from the left. I mean, the left's got plenty of them, by the way. If we want to dig into left-wing conspiracy theories, the Palace letters, which are debunked, all sorts of things. This is the biggest non-event since Halley's Comet. Yeah, I'm with you. Let's talk about the left's war on gas. The latest rumblings are that a planned gas project in Western Australia would produce more emissions than Adani and would potentially damage Indigenous rock art. And we know that the Labor Party has been, a little each way, as their leader Albo would like them to be, about a gas plant planned by the federal government in the Hunter region of New South Wales. Alex, what is their problem with gas? They seem to want to demonise gas in the way that they have sought to do when it comes to coal, when, for obvious reasons, anyone who will be able to tell you that if you want something to underline the system, to make sure that there is something to make sure that when the wind doesn't blow, the sun doesn't shine, all of those things, batteries go flat, you've got to have something that backs it up. Now, unless they're going to go fuel nuke, and I don't think they're planning that anytime soon, despite the fact that's where the country should be, gas is one of those technologies. Yet, rock art and emissions is the screaming from the Turnbull Times. Yeah, it's quite right. Look, you took the words out of my mouth when it comes to nuclear. But look, in terms of gas, I don't know. I don't know what, the Labor and the Greens think is going to be the bridge, and the baseload power that's going to be provided that we need. They seem to think that wind turbines and solar panels are going to be the cure-all for everything. Well, we know that's not the case. We're in the middle of winter, by the way. These sort of projects are not only economically viable, they're also critical to our national security. This is rainbows and unicorn stuff, ultimately. And you're quite right what you say about nuclear power. I mean, if the left were fair income about the issue of emissions, then they would look to and agree to investigate and support a nuclear industry, which we know is virtually emission-free, safe, and if the market's to decide, could even be very cost-effective. There's some sort of ideological tug-of-war going on in the Labor Party. I don't know. The Morrison government knows that a gas-led initiative and recovery is the way to go, and who knows what goes on inside their heads. Eric, good to hear some people behind enemy lines and university sectors are now starting to say that we should have greater free speech protections in this country. Here's what a minister had to say about it today, and I'll get your view.
All the universities have agreed to it, and I simply want it enacted. And I've said to them today at our Universities Australia conference that if they don't enact it, or if they're unable to, they can't, then we will legislate later this year in order to do so, because it's the key principle which underpins what our universities are about, Peter, as you know. Because if you can't have freedom of expression, how do you pursue knowledge creation? If you can't have freedom of academic inquiry, how can you possibly seek full truth, which is what universities are supposed to be about?
Education Minister with PC a bit earlier in the night. Eric, seems to me to be something that I wouldn't even be waiting. I'd be banging it through the Parliament, but be fun to watch the Greens and the Labor Party each way on this one.
All strength to the minister's arm, absolutely right. There used to be a time when the universities would be pushing government in the space of freedom of speech and allowing certain things. It looks as though we've gone the full circle now, and it's governments having to force the universities into freedom of speech. And as the minister said, the pursuit of excellence, the pursuit of education, the pursuit of knowledge is found and has been found over the centuries by people asking questions, saying things that might offend people or upset the current orthodoxy, only to find that that lone voice was in fact correct, that the earth wasn't flat, that a certain solar system operates in a particular way, and that the sun does not necessarily come up and down, but the earth might be rotating. And so all those sorts of things come as a result of endeavour and people having individual thoughts, promoting them, putting it into the public arena to be tested by the fire, the dross gets sorted out, and ultimately you get the good result of good academic pursuit and good knowledge. This is what has made the Western world in particular as good as she is now, and to try to shut that down, to shut down the endeavour of individual men and women saying, look, I've got this particular view, I've got this particular theory, let's test it, let's see what we can do with it. We should be celebrating that and keep pursuing it, because that is how we will be able to technologically and in all sorts of other ways improve our society. The minister, absolutely right, and I'm sure 99.9% of the Australian population are behind him.
Who knew, Alex, that this is what we'd have to be even having a discussion about in the enlightened age of 2021? But alas, we do. And again, the parliamentary debate will be fascinating if it is necessary, but you'd hope these people can all adopt it on their own.
Yeah, well, you would. I mean, I think the numbers are something like 33 out of 42 unis have taken it up. University of South Australia is one which has not adopted the model, as I understand it. So, look, the minister's quite right. I think they were excellent comments, and as Eric says, more strength to his arm. You know, having that approach, I think now that, look, you can adopt this, or Parliament will do it for you, is the right one. All of the reasons Eric just outlined in terms of, you know, the contest of ideas that's missing on university campuses is so important. It is amazing that we've got to this point with the march through the institutions, but we have. Look, all I can say is I think it's a great idea, and let's get on with it.
Lads, nice to talk to you. All the best. Enjoy a bit of time away from Senate and Senate estimates and all that nonsense. We're dealing with constituents, the people who actually matter. Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much to you too, Alec.